Thank you for joining us. This is Paul Wilson.
And Chris Emke.
And you're listening to Diesel Performance Podcast. Chris, March Tuning Madness in full swing. And man, I know that Cummins EasyLink tuning has been super popular throughout this sale.
Yeah, I mean, Cummins is a really good platform. You know, we always joke around at the shop. We've said this in past podcasts. Cummins is the truck that has the most gains with tuning out of the three platforms. They're the most incomplete from the factory drivability-wise. So there's a lot of things that we can see to improve with tuning. We support them from 13 all the way to 21. So we have 21s right on the docket here. So, we have that live.
R&D is gonna light you up when they hear this.
I don't care. We have the support. But one of the other things that I think is another great win is the L5Ps.
Yeah.
So there's no secret, any of our listeners, L5Ps, when the tuning was first introduced into the market, it was expensive, like really, really expensive.
Like $5,600, $5,700.
Yep. That pricing has streamlined considerably, and I personally think we're in a good ballpark where we're able to take a truck up to 550 horse, 1,200 foot-pounds of torque, and the pricing is somewhat viable to what a LML or an older Duramax would be at that power level.
Yeah, if you're doing like a 20 with engine tuning only, because we don't do the 10-speed trans tuning yet, you're probably looking at like right around 2,200, 2,100, 2,200.
For switch-on-the-fly tuning through your steering wheel controller, all the cool amenities of what a new cool truck could be.
Yeah.
So that's been super, super popular over the last like 5-6 months, but then Switch on the Fly comes out, and then we have our March Madness sale. So I'm seeing a lot of guys chomping at the bit, taking advantage of the new Switch on the Fly with some savings in the mix.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's a home run. So I know guys have been jumping on it. Hey, if you're trying to reach Chris or any of the team over here at Duramax Tuner, phones have been crazy. So feel free to leave a voicemail, shoot us a message on Facebook, hit the Contact Us page on the website. Any of that is going to make sure that we get back to you within 24 hours. That's our commitment to everybody. Chris, we have a really cool guest on the show this week. We have Wade McGinnis from Thoroughbred Diesel. If anybody used to watch Wade's World, you already are excited to hear what he has to say.
Yeah, Wade is a character. Let's just be real. Wade is a character. It's hard to not have a smile on your face when you talk to him or you see him in person. Super knowledgeable, super friendly, very inviting to help and assist. Wade's World has gained a ton of traction over the years with being very informative and reading end user questions and going through certain, questions or situations with trucks and diagnoses and stuff like that. And I mean, just the team over at Thoroughbred, Wade does a really good job of representing who Thoroughbred is.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we're excited to have him on. Also, Jeremy Garnett's going to be bringing us another killer segment from In the Shop. And I know he's got another great pro tip for you guys. And of course, we are continuing to evolve our knowledge-based segment. So talking a little bit about customer service and doing some troubleshooting and how-tos and things like that. So we got a fresh spin on that for you guys today too. Without any further ado, Chris, I know everybody's waiting to hear from Wade.
Yeah.
Let's get into it. Wade McGinnis, how the hell are you?
I'm good, guys. Thanks for having me.
No, we appreciate it. You're busy over there down in Thoroughbred, so, you taking the time to talk to some of us old folk is a good thing.
That's it.
Wade, we love having you on the show. You've definitely been on the show before. I think last time we talked about doing a mock build, I think Wade walked us through like a full-on Cummins build, if I remember correctly.
Me and Wade.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you piped up here and there.
You had Wade win. You chose Wade.
Yeah.
It's cool. No problem.
We had a VP head build, man. It was good stuff.
That's right. Yeah.
That was years ago. That was
terrible.
2017.
That was a minute.
And mine was great. Fuck. Anyways.
So Wade,
Chris the Mills like, I didn't know we could do twins. I was like, what?
Oh my God. Yeah, guys, if you haven't listened to that, definitely go back in the feed, check that show out. It went well. We already kind of spoiled who won, but it was pretty obvious. But that means I know I've already asked you how you got your start in diesel. Today, can you instead maybe just tell us about, like, I don't know, the coolest diesel build you ever got to drive on the road?
Builds really, when we were doing full service, builds really weren't our thing. We did one of the last builds we did an awesome build for a Reds pitcher. And I'm a huge Reds fan, or I was a huge Reds fan. I recently jumped off the bandwagon and went over the Braves. But, was a really cool build. But I tell you honestly, probably one of the craziest things that we've done build wise wasn't even a build. When we were in the old shop, we sell just like you guys. We sell tractor modules, RV modules, and whatnot. We had a customer come in, had a C15 Cat motorhome. He was a traveling minister, great guy. Came in and he bought I'm not going to say the name of the module at the time. I slapped the module on the thing. This was 12 years ago, 13 years ago. I slapped the module on the motorhome, tested it out, no check engine lights, and we were getting ready to walk in the shop and write up his ticket. He's like, "Hey, do you care to go on a test drive with me?" Yeah, no problem. So we jump in the motorhome, and it's like I don't know motorhome sizes. It's like a 30-footer, had to have been. I mean, hell, it had C15 in it. It's a big damn motorhome. It's a big chassis.
Yeah.
Slap the box on it. We go out and get out on Mountain Parkway, and I swear to you, Paul, absolutely the most scared I've ever been in a vehicle. This old man was crazy. He was crazier than a shithouse rat. He literally was crazier than a shithouse rat. We were from exit to exit. I mean, he was doing his damnedest to try to get this thing up to 100 miles an hour, changing in and out of lanes. Well, his wife's in there with us now. He's probably 60, 65 years old.
Oh,
changing lanes, the cabinet doors are flying open in the camper, just all this shit. I'm rolling around back there. I just jumped in. I thought we were going to go around the block. I didn't even strap myself in, no seatbelt, no nothing. I literally sat down at the card table with his wife, and before we know it, we're DEFCON 6, and we're in trouble. It's Mayday. I honest to goodness, that was the most, and I've been on a lot of rowdy test drives. I think I was the most scared I've ever been. It was just awful. So I know it kind of gets away from what's the coolest build you've done, but that's probably one thing. If you were asked me what ride along sticks out in your mind the most, it'll be that crazy ass old man in that damn C15 friggin' motorhome.
I know I'm not being asked this question.
Nuts, dude.
But I've been in a situation like this before, and that was the last time I went on a test drive with a customer.
Ooh,
So-
I got one too. Yeah.
I will only drive, like if we go for a test drive, I drive, show them, and then send them on their way. Yeah, I don't trust people. People feel like they need to impress you, or they feel like they want to be cool, and like, you tell them to do one thing and they overdo it.
Yeah.
And I don't know you any more than, just our dealings,
Yeah.
right? So I'm staying out.
Right.
What
When
happened? What's the
you're trying-
craziest one, Chris?
Well, I'm not going to mention names.
Sure.
But it was an LML Duramax that we did some extensive work to, and the customer's driving it. And I'm not good with road names, but it was in Union, right by your old apartment.
Okay, sure.
We used to take the side road by the police station.
Yeah.
And then it goes over whatever that little
High
main
bridge,
road is.
yeah.
You know how there was that hump?
I do.
Okay. We took that at 50.
Nice.
So the vehicle definitely went in the air. I definitely wasn't comfortable. My daughter was like just ready to be born, and I'm like, yo, like I'm not even gonna be able to see my daughter get born. Like I was truly nervous. So yeah.
I love it.
No more.
You kind of know when you do those ride-alongs, when you've done a build for people, just kind of gauging it, whether you're going to drive and you're going to talk about the product that you're providing them with,
Yep.
or you're going to ride with them and try to talk them through how to drive it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is one of those things you gain. I think you can only learn that of having experience working in diesel performance, because as a customer, of course, it's so logical. They just spent all this money. The first thing they want to do is go out and see it work.
Yeah.
Right? Like they want to go out and test it to its limit and see how much more power. Was this all worth it? And I know I had a dually on those big Alcoas.
Yeah.
I don't, the Speedo pegged on a flat road with like open plowed cornfields on either side of it, so there's just no windbreak, and it's a windy day, of course. And like his teenage son, his like 17, 18-year-old son in the back seat going, "Dad, knock it off. Dad, slow down. Dad, the stop sign's coming." And him just laughing, and I'm just in the passenger seat.
Like, what
Light
the-
knuckle on that oh shit handle, just like, I'm good. A total poker face. Like I'm sure I'm pouring sweat at this point and shaking, but like, yeah, 100% that like post 100 miles an hour. I'll tell guys now if I am going to let them drive, because I'm still reckless. I'll still let it happen now and again. But I set some ground rules on the way out. I'm like, yo, I can't afford another ticket, so you're not going to do any burnouts. And just do me a favor, like we're definitely going to keep it under 80 miles an hour.
Yeah, I've learned the term "drive the truck how you normally do." that doesn't apply with
No,
test
it
drives.
just means nothing.
Stay away from that.
Just means nothing. I always drive like an asshole.
Yeah.
I bet you don't. I love that. Now, Wade, you've been at Thoroughbred, well, longer than I've been at Duramax Tuner. How long have you been in diesel performance now?
This has been my 15th year.
Wow, that's impressive.
This year is year 15.
Oh, gee.
And it just gets better and better, right?
It does, man. I think, hey, listen, we talk about it all the time. We're blessed. We are to kind of work in this niche. I mean, it's, how many different niches do we get to say we get to go in and talk to, guys about rowdy ride-alongs that we've done and stuff like that. So it's fun, man. It's fun.
I think one of the things that's unique about you, Wade, is, me and you can still talk, off mic, and we, talk about second-gen Dodges and LB7 Duramaxes, and that's really like, for myself, those are my roots. Those are Wade's roots, right?
Sure.
So you think about these vehicles that are 20 years old, 15 years old, and now, we're talking about the newest trucks on the market being in the era of 2020, 2021, and there are literally no comparisons other than they both run on diesel, right? Like, so many things have changed. Technology has improved. So I think we should just dive right into this, Paul, and really talk about experiences with some of the newer platforms.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of what had caught my eye here recently, Wade, is I saw you did a great series of walkarounds on the three biggest brands. So you guys have a walkaround over there at Thoroughbred's YouTube channel to have a 2020 Duramax, a 2020 Power Stroke, and a 2020 Cummins. Chris, we just finished up our tuned and towing series over the summer there. So you and I both got to drive all three of the trucks and kind of have some behind the scenes of like what these things feel like stock and what they feel like with some power added to them. Wade, where are you at on this? Out of the three 2020s, which one's your favorite?
No, this kills me. I talk about this in these walk around videos, dude. It still hurts me to say it now, but I think Ford's making the best truck on the road.
Okay.
I really do. I think Ford's making the best overall truck on the road. The 2020 engine, the changes that they've made in the compression and what they've done with the fuel system. I think it's a very responsive truck, very smooth truck. Of the transmission, the shifting strategies on the 10-speed are friggin' awesome.
Yeah,
I was super impressed with that truck. Super impressed with Ford.
I can't disagree with you, Wade. I actually got I had the luxury of driving the 2020 Tremor.
Yeah.
This past weekend. The trans refinement, right? I'm still not up to par with the 10 speeds and all the shifting that occurs, right? It's still a little new to me, right? Yeah. It's a little hard for me to really grasp, but if we're talking about the most complete truck feeling-wise, power-wise, the Ford is like super hard to beat. It is very impressive.
Yeah. So the one drawback on the Ford, I would say, is access to some of the parts as compared to the other two. So you can get a little bit more out of your Cummins if you're thinking about modifying it, or a little bit more out of your Duramax. Now, I also wholeheartedly agree with you guys. I think if you were just looking at all three of them stock and they all cost the same price, whatever. I think I'd be really hard-pressed not to come home with a Ford. I agree. It's phenomenal.
And Wade, back me on this if you agree, disagree, whatever. But if you were not brand loyal, right, and all three vehicles cost the same amount of money, and you were not going to modify anything, like you warranty and you're just, sticking to the book, no upgrades, the Ford, and unfortunately, as much as I hate to say it, the Ford is the truck to beat from that seat-of-the-pants initial feel.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But if Chris, I'll pose this question to you. Now, you've driven all three. Which one are you going to buy?
I mean, and
not because if you would buy a truck, even though you didn't think it was necessarily the quote unquote best truck, which one would you buy?
I mean, I would still stick to what I'm familiar with, and the Cummins platform is something that. Yeah. I'm not going to lie. They drive the worst out of the three. Okay. Like, I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. Like, they still have their quirks. They still have their issues, but that is what I've always been familiar with. That's what I've grown up with, and that's just my preference. Okay, it's not a brand loyalty thing. I like inline motors. You can trust me with a couple of tools. Okay, and I know my way around them, and that's kind of my foundation. So for my preference,
I'll say this for the Cummins. I think it has the best interior. by far.
Right.
If you're looking at the highest end of the models, if you spent the money on getting the fanciest one, I think the Cummins has the best interior. Probably not by a ton, but enough to where I would say it matters. And the other thing is, I was really surprised. We did that trailer 0 to 60 run with all three of them, and there you're not really testing who has the most power. You're testing which vehicle's limiters are going to kick in first, right? Because what we were doing was 100% going to push us into a limiter. And surprisingly enough, the Cummins fastest one, meaning that the Cummins calibrations allow you to stretch it to the limiter further than the others. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, right? So we didn't see any failures after the testing, but all three of them went through hell on that, and the Cummins came out looking the best.
Say, Wade.
I asked that question because my answer is the same, Chris. Not to cut you short, my answer is the same. I'm buying a Dodge. I'm buying a Dodge. If we go into specifics of that, if you want me to talk about, I'll leave it for that. If you want to talk about the 2020 Cummins.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's warranted.
Yeah.
I'd like to go more in depth. I mean, again, I know your background. You're a Cummins boy through and through. You still have your second gen that's been upgraded over the years, and that thing still has a handshaker and all, right? I mean, it's the real deal.
Yeah.
Why in the year of 2020 would you be going with one?
Because it still means everything in the world to me that I can jump out of the truck with a 3/4 inch wrench and do most of the things I need to do to get myself and my family off the side of the road. That's just it'll always be that. I can test fuel pressure on. I can make quick diagnosis on the side of the road of what's going on with the truck. If I just had enough of a scanner to read a code, and the rest of it I can probably take from there.
Yeah.
Now, this surprises me as a ground of logic. I guess if I'm going to keep the truck, and my goal is I'm going to buy a 2020, and I'm going to keep this thing until forever, right? Like I'm going to drive it till it rusts out.
Well, the way they cost these days, you kind of have to. I mean.
Well, and that's a point. But as I think about buying a 2020, I would think a lot of people are like, well, who's got the longest warranty? Why would I have to ever be on the side of the road wrenching on my truck or working on my truck? Once you make that investment for that new truck, you kind of expect that I know the mentality when the day you buy it is I'm never going to have to work on it. I'm going to trade it in before I ever have to turn a wrench on it. But that's a motivator for you, huh, Wade? You're like, it's still absolutely. It might happen. Yeah,
I'm going to try to be buried in the trucks that I buy.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, everything in my stable is a 2001. I got a 01 Duramax and 2 01 Dodges. So
there you go.
It means a lot to me to it means a lot to me to be able to jump underneath the hood of it and have it up and running in a few minutes.
So let's shift gears a little bit. We've talked a lot about the Power Stroke and the Cummins. Not much has been brought up on the Duramax, and you have a Duramax in your personal fleet. What was your first impressions on the 2020 L5P?
Chevrolet's going the other way. And this totally personal opinion from driving it and being in it. Chevrolet's going the other way. I like what they're doing with trying to bring back the Deuce and a Half series, and trying to go with that 4,500, 5,500 platform. I think that shows initiative on Chevrolet or GM side to work towards a more getting back to a kind of a work truck, blue collar platform. I don't know what you guys thought. The 2020 that we drove here was a base model. The thing I cannot stand about the Chevrolet's cabs right now are it feels sunk in them. I don't know why. The dash is up and your eye level is down, and I hate it. I just feel like Chevrolet is going the other way. I like the power of the engine. Of course, Duramax is a great engine. It makes good power. It makes usable power. Shifting strategies on them are great. But the truck is going the other way.
So I would say from and again, this just is like the general consensus of guys that I deal with, right?
Sure.
A lot of the Duramax guys, they are GM dedicated. Okay, so they're the LB7 guy, they're the LML guy. They bought the L5P. They're GM through and through. I don't see a lot of crossover from guys having a Power Stroke or a Cummins going into the Duramax space, like right now.
Yeah.
And a lot of the things, and I mean, this is my personal belief. I'm going to back up what Wade said. The cabs are very awkward. Like even the 2020 that we have here in the shop, the way it's laid out, and I mean, that's a higher trim level truck. It's not up to the same standard, okay, as what I would expect to see when I look at a Power Stroke or a Cummins. The truck engine makes great power. I think that the L5P is by far one of the best platforms of engines from all the RPOs that are out there in the Duramax space. But to me, the new 2020 style truck, I'm more of like a 15 to 19 guy. Like I like the layout interior wise more.
Yeah.
I like everything about those creature comforts of that style more than the 2020 Plus.
That's interesting. So Wade, I think you made a really good point about moving away from a work truck, and I wonder if that's almost by design in their marketing segmenting. So picking out who buys our trucks. I wonder if they've learned over time that who buys Duramaxes, let's say, is more often a foreman than a laborer. Right, which is maybe not the same story for a Cummins.
Yeah.
And so like I wonder if that's almost by design, because put a stupid example like this. If I needed to use a laptop and I was sitting in the cab of all three of these trucks, it's probably, no lie, based on what you're describing on the layout of the interior, and I agree with you guys, of course, it is laid out very differently than the others. It's probably the easiest to do that when you're in a Duramax. I'm not saying that's by design. I'm just saying they seem to be designing it for a different group than what the other two trucks seem to be designing their trucks for. Now, again, if you get into the high trim level of any of these, they're phenomenal. Everything is detailed. Everything's double-stitched leather or faux leather. Like, it's all very nice. But I like the idea of when you guys took a look at a base model and said, like, okay, well, bare bones, what are you going to get? Like, if you need this truck for doing real work, here's what's on the table. And I want to say, and I don't know this for sure, but I wonder how limited their base models are compared to the others, right? So, like, what features, what creature comforts do I get in a base model of an L5P 2020 compared to the Cummins? Because I know the Cummins is pretty notorious for running their shit down to, like, bare bones. Like, I'd be surprised.
Crank windows,
Yeah, crank. That's what I was just going to say. I'd be surprised if you can't still get a tradesman with crank windows and a 6.7 regular cab, two-wheel drive. And I think Ford does the same thing. I think Ford still runs that, like, work model base F-250 cab and chassis, nothing on it.
Yeah, they do. I'm sure all three. You know,
I'm sure Duramaxes have it, but
GM
when's the last time you saw one? I mean, like, who's the last guy you know to drive one?
I mean, I did a truck a couple weeks ago for a floor shift rubber floor. Yeah, I mean, they're there, but they're definitely. I mean, Ford does fleet trucks. I've heard Ram doing more of the fleet truck side of things, where GM, I don't hear as much of that. You get them in the 45 and 5500 platforms. You know, they started bringing some of that back, which, you know, to Wade's point, is cool. Yeah. But I would definitely say, I mean, even though, like, you know, growing up, my dad always had GMs and Chevys, and that was never the heavy-duty truck, just with the independent front end. It always drove nicer, but I always thought of, okay, well, if you have, like, a heavy-duty work truck, you have a solid front axle, and that's always been the Ford or the Ram. That's just my whole mental thought process.
Sure.
So definitely has different feels altogether.
Yeah.
Wade, what do you think about these three trucks as a commuter? If you had to drive one every day, I know you said the Ford is the nicest and the GM's probably not your fit and the Cummins is probably your preference. But if I was new to diesel and I was coming to you and I was saying, hey, man, I tow my 30-foot camper once every 2 months, and other than that, I just commute 40 miles back and forth to work. Do you think that changes your equation of which one might be right for me?
Yeah, I want to talk to your point, Paul, because I love the new Ram interiors. I do. It is what it is. It drives like a Dodge, but I really like I really like the interior on them. I got to correct myself too. I was talking about Chevrolets because I don't want anybody bashing me on this, but I didn't mean to say deuce and a half. I was talking ton and a quarter, ton and a half stuff on 45, 5500 stuff. But so that was kind of a nod I gave to the Dodges was the new interiors on them, and I liked. I know the CB4s aren't in them obviously anymore. I was very, very impressed with the responsiveness of the fueling tables on the CP4 platform. I really thought, I know that's a piece of trash. I hate it. I can't believe Cummins went down that road. But the fueling tables on that truck were great, I thought. I drove a 21 the other day that had a CP3 on it, and it kind of back to that little bit of lag, off throttle lag that they've got in them. So
yeah.
I really thought that CP4 fueling setup on the Cummins was going to take the world by storm just from right out the gate throttle response. I was really impressed with that truck.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, no, they are hard to beat. And we interviewed the chief engineer, Rod Romaine, and we asked him about the CP4 because I think that was on the 2019s we interviewed him when those were just coming out.
Just coming out, yep.
And we asked him straight up, and he's like, oh, it's an HP4. It's a part of that family, but everything's been fixed in it. And, we're familiar with Exergy, right? We all use, the Exergy 10-mil CP4s where I'm like, we know that these pumps can be upgraded to be improved, so eventually you would have assumed Bosch would do that. So, yeah, surprise. Yeah.
What was really, not to go back in the past in interviews, but when we interviewed Rod Romaine, it was very interesting for him to talk about the technical R&D of what went into, the sound deadening and the technology into the engine and the upgrades that were made.
Yeah.
And then to actually physically see that firsthand once, we got our 19 truck and what they did and what advances had taken place on that platform and what that actually looked like comparing the 15 that we have to the 19 and how much farther advanced that really was.
You know what? I'm going to take a swing at Dodge on this one, Chris. I'm sorry, but when you're 15 years behind everybody else on creature comforts and interiors,
and then you
finally catch up.
You think they're 15 years behind?
I think they were.
I think 2013. I think 2013 fourth gens. I think they set a mark where I would take one of those over a GM or a Ford personally.
I don't know.
Then to 19 to come out and to really revise everything even further.
They've gotten better.
They've gotten better over the last 8 years.
Yeah,
everything has moved forward. But
9 years ago, they were 10 years behind everybody else.
And definitely. 10 years ago, they were 15 years behind everyone else. Definitely. Yeah. But they're in the right direction, man. The technology's catching up. They're really killing it.
I like that. Wade, we know you love these older trucks, these 01s. Would you take a built 01, maybe something brought up to 500 horsepower, or would you take a new Cummins with a tune only on it and you're running emissions equipped 500 horsepower?
Dude, that's painful right now.
Man. I would jump over a built truck to get to a mild tuned new truck as far as everyday drivability.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm still going up the hill. I'm still driving my damn 01 with 400 horsepower in it. And I'm still going through all that crap just because it hasn't worked its way out of my system yet. But yeah. I'm almost to the point where I think I'm going to give up. Well, I'm going to have to give up standard shifts now, but I think I'd drive an automatic. I really do.
Oh my God.
I really do.
That's what 15 years in diesel performance does to you. You say, you know what? Just give me the tune only. I'm going to drive it.
Paul, my wife's truck, the other 01, I bought the silver one, is a Lariat with leather seats, heated seats. Chris, you heard it, and it's automatic. And
that's rare.
I literally drive that truck more than I drive my red one or my Max anymore. I do. I just so nice to get in and not have to listen to a dual disc clutch rattle and have to look at EGT gauges and all the bullshit,
Yeah.
That's what it is. It is, because I drove stick for a long time as well. The 7.3 was stick. I drove that forever. And when you're in it and you're driving it, you're like, this isn't bad. Of course I could do this. People are so lazy. What a bunch of little bitches. And then you drive an automatic and you're like, oh shit.
But now I'm gonna put Wade on the spot here. So I think of when I had my L1 that had a 5-speed, and I really, really, really love that truck. And I look back now, and granted, I have an automatic, and I like the newer amenities, but I really miss the old truck, and I do miss shifting gears from time to time. And it's you kind of have to go backwards and get that fix every so often.
But luckily we all work in diesel performance, and what we need is customer trucks. I need to take a customer on a test drive, get that out of my system for a day, and then get back into my shit and drive
still
home.
Nothing like your own stuff, though. So
I know.
Even to Wade's point where, he's taking his wife's truck, or, he can, do what he needs to do, he still finds himself getting into his LB7 or into his Cummins where he can bang gears.
Yeah.
It's just, it's home.
Yeah. Honestly, to kind of summarize my driving, if I've got to haul a load of cattle 2 or 3 counties away, and I know I'm going to have interstate time, I'm hooking the gooseneck to my Chevrolet. You know, and that Paul, that has to do with ride quality, you know, power, you know, it's just a nice truck to drive when you're hauling, as long as you're not out, you know, twisting frames or shit like that.
Right.
Comfortable, powerful, good truck. If I'm on the farm and I'm grabbing 3 wagons in series and I know I'm going to be beating up across the creek and I'm going to have to pull a lot of weight and I need good low end power, I'm going to grab my red truck. If I really just don't want to fuck with gears, I'm getting in Ellie's truck and driving it to, you know, if I just got to go haul a tractor somewhere real quick. So, you know, but one thing about a standard shift, and I know, Paul, you'll probably agree to this too, the one thing about a standard that is very nice is when you want a standard, you've got it. Like if you want to be able to grab fourth gear to slow you down, and you have that, or in snow when you can, you know, when you can command what gear you want to be in to get you there. That's, you know, that's a nice thing about a standard shift too.
Absolutely. Yeah. They definitely are more versatile if you're just looking at how it's going to be on the road and things like that. I could see that. I get it.
Yep.
I'm a lazy suburbanite, so I'm going to stick to my commuter style.
No, yeah, you're definitely lazy,
but I get it. Wade, I'm really excited to see some events going on this year. I know I just caught a post. I see that Thoroughbred Diesel Throwdown is scheduled for June 18th and 19th. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about what that event is all about?
I'm going to geek out on this just a little bit.
Sure.
So our event, and I think Chris can kind of back this up. When we started bringing in when we got our event outside of Thoroughbred Diesel and we took it out, we went to Clay City and we did a drag race, tried to pull off a truck pull that first year. That was 3-4 years ago, Chris.
Yep.
Wasn't the best venue, but I think everybody said the same thing. We kind of had the makings for a big event, trying to take place of that TS event in the early spring that we were kind of missing out on, you know, in this region. Our event is moved to the oldest harness racing track in the South. It's called Red Mile in Lexington. Paul, I'm going to give you a date here. I want to make sure I tell you it's June 18th and 19th. And what we've done is we've partnered up with our local pulling organization, which is Battle of the Bluegrass. Everybody knows. So Bob sanctions our pull and puts our pull on. So we have vendor row, of course, at Red Mile. And it's side by side truck pulling, just like what you would get at Shides. We try to run 2 sleds on red clay dirt, and it is awesome. I mean, it's awesome. And I'm not just saying that because this is my home and this is a thoroughbred event. I feel like it is a badass twist on truck pulling that has just you know, quintessential Kentucky road all over it. If we could shove truck pulling into horse racing and beer drinking and good Southern hospitality, that's what you've got in our event.
I love that so much. And it is so true. It is a very Kentucky event.
Sorry, man.
No, that's good. That's the perfect way to put it. I don't think I could summarize it any better. How many classes can guys look forward to for sled pulling? What's going to be out there?
I think Bob is trying to ramp up the classes on that. I don't know what they've got in store for this year. And you guys know this about truck pullers. They've had a year off this year. Last year. They're gonna shoot the moon on it. I know that we're usually working in the same classes: work stock, 2.5, whatever's left of the 3.0 class now.
Yeah.
And then the big boys will pull as well. We had semis. The semis pulling were awesome, and then of course, you know, 2 or 3 tractor classes too.
Nice. That's going to be a blast, guys. You definitely don't want to miss out that. So going on in Kentucky, I know I used to travel down for the Thoroughbred event at Thoroughbred, so I haven't got to see it since you guys have moved out. I know I'm excited for it. It's going to be huge, and like you said, man, with everybody who's had a year off, everybody and their brother has some parts on their truck now.
Yeah.
They're all looking to get out. I think this is going to be huge. Wade, before we wrap up the show, I always like to ask somebody like you who has so much experience around diesel performance, what do you think is a good piece of advice for the guys who are just getting started upgrading their truck?
You know, find what you like about the truck that you have, whether you buy a fully bombed truck or a bone stock right off the lot truck. Find what you like about the truck and the drivability of that truck and expand on that. I know that's kind of an open-ended answer, but really to make yourself an enthusiast, you have to play. You know what? I'll back up just a little bit. Just because you buy a diesel truck doesn't mean you have to be a diesel enthusiast.
Right.
But it'd be a whole lot cooler if you would be, you know. So find what you like about the truck and expand on that. You know, if you like throttle sensitivity, you know, figure out what you've got to do as far as programming to expand on that and to take that to the next level. And then that leads you into turbo upgrades and so on. That would probably be my biggest. Advice to someone jumping out there, because you know it's kind of like your earlier point, Paul. I think when we were talking off the air a little bit, there's so much going on in these trucks, and we're limited every day with what more performance we're going to be able to do to them in stock form. So you just kind of got to find that thing that makes you happy to drive the truck you own.
I like it. I think that's a really good piece of advice. You know, I think a lot of guys, they look at a truck, they read some forums, they watch some videos, and they start saying things like, I want a turbo, I want a set of injectors. But your advice is to go the other way. Go, no. Don't start with a list of parts you want. Start with a feature you want about the truck or a feature you like about the truck, and then we can help kind of get you to the right parts to get that result out. I like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. If we brought you, if you came to owning a diesel because you want a better fuel economy, buy one and then try to keep improving on the fuel economy. You know, just shoot the moon, do lock in, lock out hubs, everything you can to, you know, cut the parasitic down the truck, whatever it is.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Cool, man. Anybody you would like to give a shout out to today?
Hey, man, I just want to thank you guys for having me on. I always enjoy coming in here and talking to you guys, real laid back, and that was a good arena for me to just talk in circles, which is what I do best.
You and I both, Wade. You and I both.
I love it. Well, Wade.
But, hey, everybody listening, come see us at Throwdown. June 18th and 19th. Love to have you. Lexington is a good time. It's a good time of year being Lexington, and we will have a good time, promise you.
Absolutely. I'm excited for it. Well, Wade, thank you so much for joining us. Listeners, stick around. Coming up next, we have Jeremy Garnett, our super tech, with another awesome pro tip in the shop. Jeremy Garnett, how the hell are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Man, I love this super tech segment. This is my chance, guys, as listeners. If you've been a longtime listener, you've probably heard me reference how little I do with actual mechanicking. Not my thing.
Yeah, talking to you sometimes is...
It's sometimes brutal. Is that how we're finishing it? Yeah, sometimes I do really realize you've never used a wrench. No, listen, hey, it's not my thing, but it is one of those things that I love learning more about. I love being around it. I think this is one of those, too, that I'm getting feedback from our listeners about, hey, some of these pro tips are, like, super helpful, and things that you wouldn't really think of if you were getting your fresh start into working on your truck for the first time. So I'm excited, man. Hit me. What's our truck today?
Another 06 LBZ.
Man, all right. I think these things are getting to the age now. Like there was a push a few years back, I think it's still going on, where LBZs are considered this diamond, right? Like they're the most amazing Duramax ever, and for all these different reasons. And they are. I love an LBZ.
Right. But
they are starting to hit the age where it's like, man, a good one's 14 years old.
Yeah.
It's just they're starting to get up there, so we're starting to see them more in the shop. What were you dealing with on this 06 LBZ?
This one had turbo issues, so the vanes wouldn't sweep in the turbo.
Okay. What was the customer complaint? How did they describe it?
They were describing it as whistling. It was stuck high, like they heard a air noise.
Okay.
And the truck was just driving like crap.
Oh, man. That's one of those, if I were to hear that on the phone, I would immediately think exhaust leak.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's because you're like, oh, you're hearing air noise. There's probably like a cracked up pipe. You're getting bad fuel mileage. Right. It's not spooling up fast. You're like, oh, is it smoky?
Right. and then also in this case, it's like, he didn't say anything about check engine light because check engine. He was like, "Oh, the check engine light's been on forever."
Oh, yeah.
Of course, it does have codes. For the turbo.
Let's see.
It also
magic thought here. Definitely has glow plug codes on for years, so he's never known any other check engine light the truck has had.
Exactly.
Been there.
Yeah. So it's not like, oh, hey, something's bad because my check engine light's on.
Right. Right. I don't want you to see the dash in my BMW. Oh, wait, you have,
yes.
and it's had a check engine light on since I owned it. I get it. I'm that guy too, man.
Yeah.
I'm that guy too.
But yeah, in this case here, I know we went through this segment a couple weeks ago, but pretty much the same thing where, we had to go through the bases, check the solenoid, check the powers, check, make sure it's actually stuck.
Yeah.
In this case, the guy actually decided he wanted to try to do the turbo himself a little bit.
What does a little bit mean?
It
That sounds like something I say as I drop the truck off. I worked on it a little bit, so it's towed here, and here's a box of bolts.
Kind of. So yeah, he tried taking it off himself, and now we had to replace it with a new one. And so we actually didn't fully get to test it because we didn't know exactly what was wrong. So we had to So we just had to go ahead and wing it and put a new one on it, and hey, all is good. So
yeah, hey, and you know what? Listen, guys, it's great for you. Go out and try.
Right.
I mean, listen, here's the thing: you're gonna come and drop it off, and you're gonna pay whatever the job pays, right? Like whatever the cost, that's what the cost is. Doesn't matter what shop you go to. They're gonna have their rate and the hours and the cost. It's gonna be pretty similar, little bit differences. If you're gonna do it at home and you only get halfway through the job, you're probably not going to get a discount on the labor. They're going to treat it just like they would if that truck came in. Now, if you cause a bunch of other problems, that may add to the catastrophe. But I think it's worth giving it a shot. If you feel like you could do it, give it a shot. If you get to that point that you're like, I'm stuck, hey, it cost you the tow truck, whatever. Right. Get it towed in, get it done, and move on with your life. Get the truck back and running.
Yeah, exactly. That's some people's moneymaker.
That's it, right? That's it. Okay. What were some of the challenges on this one?
Challenges on this one, actually, rust. Just rust. I mean, it's, trucks, like you were talking about earlier, it's already 14 years old. It's just rust and bolts breaking in the turbo and now in the manifolds. It's like, okay, they break in the turbo. I don't care at this point. It's when they break in the manifolds now. Oh, crap. Now we got to replace the manifold. And
that's when it's a tough situation to be in for everybody, right? Because what did you want me to do? Put less pressure on the bolt? Because it clearly broke because it's not coming out. Exactly. There's not this isn't like oh, you twisted it wrong.
Yeah, you want me to use that torch next to your fuel line?
I love that. Cool, man. Well, what's the pro tip?
This one actually goes kind of hand in hand with broken bolts. Like you say it's going easy, and then you're one broken bolt away from it turning into a 10-hour job. Just be careful. Try to take your time, and just sometimes using hand tools instead of air tools. Makes the job a little bit more easier.
There you go. Good stuff, man. Well, Jeremy, thank you so much for joining us.
All right. Have a good day, guys.
And guys, make sure you stick around. We, of course, have our knowledge-based segment coming up at you next. All right, guys, here we are bringing back the master of customer service, Sean Lynn. Sean, how the hell are you?
Good. How about you, Paul?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for joining us. Sean, we've been working on this knowledge-based segment of the show, which is really just we want to get into more troubleshooting and how-tos and practical, usable knowledge for diesel owners. And you've been great at helping us out with that. But I don't know if I necessarily set you up with riveting content just reading off the knowledge-based article. So last week we tried out with Chris doing some troubleshooting for me. And the whole time I heard Chris troubleshooting, I'm like, Chris, this is all correct, but we need a specialist. That's what this show is we bring on specialists and experts to talk about their field. And Sean, you are an expert in calibrated power Duramax tuner customer service.
Yeah, we see a little bit of everything here and learning more every single day.
There you go, man. Today, guys, I am going to be I'm going to pretend to be a customer here, and I'm going to give Sean a couple of questions that I think you get on a regular basis, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. So let's start off. Sean, I own a 2017 Cummins. It is a 3500 HD dual rear wheel. I have the Laramie package, so it's really nice. I got about 40,000 miles on it. I just bought my EasyLink tunes a week ago. I got the auto agent today. What do I do next?
The first thing you're going to do is get it plugged into your truck, get the app downloaded on your phone, and basically all you have to do is link up the vehicle. When you sign in, create an account, it'll ask you if you want to link the vehicle. It'll give you a whole list of tunes, 3 different folders, all have the same power levels. We just change up the trans tuning a bit between the 3 folders. And that's typically the most common question we get, is when someone gets the phone in their hand and they say, okay, I have 3 different folders, I got a bunch of tunes, what do I choose? Which one do I go with?
What are the folders called? What is this?
We have a folder called Standard Shift Schedule, Mild TCM Tuning, and then Elevated Shifts.
Okay, so the Standard Shift Schedule, does that still have trans tuning in it?
It does.
Okay. And what kind of things do you know are changed in the trans tunes in that file compared, because the other folders still have trans tuning too, right? Mm-hmm. What's different?
So between the 3 of them, mild trans tuning is the basically smallest change in shifting and such. It only changes line pressure. So if you like the way the truck drives stock and you just want to keep it that way, little bump in line pressure, that's going to be the one you're going to want to go with.
I like that. Now, one of the benefits of having a small bump in line pressure is increased clutch holding capacity. So my clutches aren't going to be stronger, but if I put more pressure on them, they're going to hold longer, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, and then what is the third option?
So the other option would be elevated shift points. And typically we recommend this if customers are running large tires or they just want the truck to stay in the gear a bit longer. They don't want it to lug as much. They want a bit more throttle response out of it.
You know, and I really like this tune personally. Now, I've said many times on the show, guys, I have a habit of driving really aggressively from 0 to 60 and then like an old grandma after that. But that 0 to 60 is really important to me. And I know when we first started messing around with this 4th and 5th gen Cummins, these 68s were notorious for short shifting. So in other words, I would go jump in the truck, put an engine tune on it, smash that throttle pedal at the stop sign, and then I would click off 1, 2, 3, 4 shifts by the time I was at 40 miles an hour. And that means that I'm not using all of the torque my truck is capable of producing. That's one of the huge benefits of a 6.7 Cummins is it has this really wide torque band. So elevating those shifts, that gives customers or end users the ability to kind of stretch out that gear and use the power in that gear for a little bit longer before jumping to the next one. Do you know of any of the drawbacks? Who would we recommend probably wouldn't run an elevated shift option?
I would say that if you have stock tires and you just are looking for maximum efficiency out of it, then elevated shifts is probably not for you. But if you got larger tires or you drive it more like a hot rod than an actual truck, that's where elevated shifts would come in.
That's awesome. Hey, Sean, thank you so much for sharing your expertise with our listeners. Guys, stick around. Chris and I are going to wrap up the show here.
Replace the old leaking radiator in your truck with a direct fit replacement from the XDP Extra Cool radiator line. XDP's Extra Cool radiators are made using the same techniques used in the HD truck industry to give you durability, strength, and performance. Each Extra Cool radiator is built around a high-efficiency core with heavy-duty tubes. It's also internally reinforced for strength and features more fins per inch for maximum cooling. The end tanks on each radiator have been upgraded to a fiber-reinforced plastic construction for added strength and durability. To put it all together, a heavy-gauge steel crimp strip is used to join the tank and the core. This eliminates the separation that's common in OE radiators. To find out more about the XDP Extra Cool radiators, check out xdp.com or find a local dealer near you.
Worley Custom Fabrication is known for their world-class powder coating, S300, S400, traction bars, and all sorts of other just really, really cool parts for your Duramax, Cummins, and I think even a few Power Stroke parts here and there. Today, we're going to be talking about the 2020 GMC 2500 and 3500 Fender Flare Billet Marker Light Delete Kit. These brand new L5Ps have the marker lights, and a lot of guys don't like them. Just flat out, just a lot of guys are not into that look. What they would prefer to have is a color-matched billet piece right there to delete that light kit and have it just look a little bit cleaner on the truck, a little bit less flashy. So it's kind of a really cool understated exterior piece. And I think it's one of those that it's pretty easy to scan over, but once you see it, you're like, oh, I get it and I love it. So these will help you clean up the look of your 2020 GMC Sierra or Denali HD truck by replacing the amber Fender Flare marker lights with these CAD designed, CNC machined, billet aluminum marker light delete plates from WC Fab. Available with machined WC Fab logo or without, in raw aluminum, or of course, what you're all going to choose, paint matching of fine texture or fine texture black powder coat to blend into the OEM black plastic Fender Flare trim. It installs very, very easily. It's a couple of simple hand tools, comes with everything that you guys are going to need to install it. If you are thinking about it, or if you have one and you'd like to clean up the look a little bit, no problem at all. Jump over to WCFab.com and you'll be able to find that part right away. The other sponsor I wanted to talk about today is Exergy Performance. With their background in OE development and manufacturing, Exergy Performance brings a unique perspective to the high-performance world. They know what features and specifications need to be to ensure proper function, they know how to produce them, and they know how to verify that they're correct. The verification process and the equipment that they use is very untypical of a standard diesel repair shop. It actually allows them to look at many more system performance characteristics beyond just the average fuel output, which is how most shops will just test it. What they test is actually from idle to full power using factory calibration points and a few points of their own that they've added for the high performance market. They can fully map a set of injectors and have done so for, I don't know, a countless number of people out there. The guys who are running at the very top of the industry are running Exergy. The guys who are running their normal street truck are running Exergy. Every one of our employees who has a modified set of injectors is running Exergy. There's a reason that we use them time and time again. If you guys are looking for more, you can check out Exergy's website, but you're probably best off giving a call over to DuramaxTuner.com, giving a call over to WC Fab, giving a call over to any of their distributors who are out there. Also, if you need technical assistance and you've bought from a distributor, I believe you could still reach out to Exergy if you need to. Chris, this has been a really fun show for us today.
Like I said prior, I always enjoy having Wade on. It's always good to get a different perspective. Kentucky's like a different world, man. Whenever I go down there, Wade's really big into the second gens and the older LB7 trucks, and those trucks look new still. Everything is different when you travel 8 hours south from where we're at here in Northern Illinois. So like I said, it's always good to get a different take and a different perspective. And, we've done so many reviews over the last year on some of the newer trucks, and we have our own biased opinion, right? So it's good to get a second opinion and have that kind of be in line with what we would think.
Yeah, so. Absolutely. Really interesting stuff. Jeremy Garnett crushing it as always. You guys know you can go follow him on Instagram. And hey, I really want to give a big shout out to our guys in customer service for continuing to help us out with that new knowledge base segment. Yeah. For today, this has been Paul Wilson
and Chris Hemke.
Thanks for listening.